Get ready for the Great North Wrestling Podcast, the official podcast of the Hannibal TV, Canada's #1 pro wrestling YouTube channel, with your host, GNW wrestler and the Hannibal TV lead reporter, Devon Hannibal Nicholson.
This is Hannibal here, and this is the Great North Wrestling Podcast for November 3rd, 2017. We're only a couple days away from November 5th at 1 p.m., the big Great North Wrestling Afternoon of Champions Supercard. And with me on the line tonight is Garmamie, who is one of the GNW announcers and reporters for the Hannibal TV. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm, obviously, like any self-respecting combat sports fan, I can't wait for the Afternoon of Champions show at the Jean Marc Lalonde Arena in Rockland this Sunday. I'm excited about it. I'm getting a little, I'm losing my mind over it because it's the last show for Great North Wrestling, and all self-respecting fans are going to be attending this event, obviously, from across the country, from coast to coast to coast. I can't wait for it.
Yes, it is the last Great North Wrestling event until March of 2018, so it's the last chance for wrestling fans to get their fix. And of course, for those who aren't familiar with the Ottawa area, Rockland is only literally half an hour drive from where Impact Wrestling is going to be doing their TV tapings from November 6th to 10th. And I found out 2 days ago, I guess, that Hannibal the Death Dealer is going to be making his Impact Wrestling debut at the November 7th taping in Ottawa at the Aberdeen Pavilion. So fans in the Ottawa area that want to come watch me, don't know who my opponent's going to be yet. The dream opponent obviously would be Lashley, but I'm not going to be getting my hopes up high for that. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's going to be a great opportunity to be seen on worldwide television, and fans that want to go see that, tickets are available through tdplace.ca, and if you use the discount code GNW Impact, that's GNW IMPACT, you can get 50% off tickets, which is a phenomenal deal. And of course, for the November 5th Afternoon of Champions show, tickets are only $15 each in advance to start, or you can buy 4 for $40. And you can purchase those through ticketweb.ca or at Snap Fitness or Jumbo Pizza in Rockland. And of course, you could also buy them at the door the night of the event for an additional $5. So a lot of big news this week. Obviously, it's great that I'm going to be getting a chance with Impact Wrestling, and of course the last Great North Wrestling event of the year. But last week was a big week for me too, for the Hannibal TV, because I did 3 big shoot interviews in Florida. One with Rocky Johnson, which is already up on our Patreon site.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that was a big one, and I actually got along very well with him. It was one of the funniest shoot interviews I've ever done with Rocky Johnson. Do you have any memories of Rocky Johnson?
I do. I mean, I know, of course, he's Dwayne Johnson's father. He's a Scotian originally, and he made his mark with what's his name there from Maine.
Tony Atlas.
Tony Atlas, yes, of course. No, I'm familiar. I'm familiar with him. I think most fans are. Why do you say it was a great shoot interview? Elaborate as to why it was.
It was a comical one because he really didn't hold back. And you talk about Tony Atlas. The first shoot interview clip that you're going to see on the Hannibal TV, which will be posted.
They don't get along, eh?
No, they don't get along. And he told some stories on there, such as an alleged backstage fight that The Rock had with Shawn Michaels that I'd never heard before. But he was an interesting one, and his was about an hour and 15 minutes. But we did 2 over 3 hour shoot interviews. One with Kevin Sullivan, who was a wrestling legend and former WCW booker during its peak. So that one was really informative. Hopefully that one will be posted next week. And the clips, there's already one clip up there of him talking about his views on some of Hulk Hogan's scandals.
Right.
Then J.J. Dillon, of course, he was a WWE executive. He was the manager of the Four Horsemen. And he also worked in the office with Eric Bischoff, and I already put a clip up of him responding to some allegations Eric Bischoff made about him. So, and
that particular video is getting some mad views. People are actively viewing and sharing all of the content from Great North Wrestling on the HannibalTV.com. And what I want to know is when you're interviewing and asking these Kevin Sullivan these questions, what's the mood like in the room? Is it tense? Is it? I mean, you're approaching it very professionally, but do you ever feel at times that with your style of interviewing, which I'm a fan of, do you ever feel like the mood in the room can switch on any second?
Well, Kevin Sullivan and I were actually instant friends. We actually spent the night before we did the interview together. And it's interesting because I've known about him for years because I'm very close with Billy Graham and they're close. And I listened to his podcast. But what I wasn't aware of until I met him was he's actually a subscriber to the Hannibal TV, and he's seen a lot of our videos and he's seen a lot of our matches. So it was already like we had known each other for a long time. So there definitely was no tension between Kevin and I. I don't think I've really had any really tense interviews.
I'm asking from a journalistic perspective. I'm actually a fan of your style of interviewing people because it's very kind of laid back and calm, but you're not afraid to ask the tough questions. You know what I mean? And I find that really adds value for the end user and people who follow the HannibalTV.com, who want to find out more on things that we don't get much exposure on. I find you're very bold in your style of questioning. It's great. I think journalistically, I think you're putting out some of the best shoot interviews out there that are readily accessible online. If anyone is watching, make sure you subscribe to the HannibalTV.com on YouTube. Yes.
And if you want to watch the shoot interviews, because of course we put them out in clips, and some people don't like that, but overall more people like it than don't, because a lot of people don't want to sit through a 3-hour shoot interview.
Exactly.
But maybe they want to hear Kevin Sullivan talk about Chris Benoit, for instance, so they're only going to watch that. So,
and you asked them that, didn't you?
Yes, yeah, we had a very long discussion about that. And he brought up some good points that I'm sure the fans will want to know, and what he thinks of all these idiots out there with the conspiracy theory that he was truly the murderer of the Benoit family, which of course is absolutely preposterous. But for the fans that really just want to watch the full shoot interview, we post them on Patreon. As I said, the Rocky one's already up. The other two are going to be up very shortly in full. It's only $1.99 a month. Patreon.com.
Only $1. Imagine that.
Yeah, like $1.99. It's very cheap, and you're actually supporting us, because what people don't realize is these people don't do the shoot interviews for free. They charge me for them. Then you have to take into account the camera equipment we need. Then you have to take into account the travel. So we can't just throw these out for free because we're not able to do more. So if people actually are fans of it and want to help the channel, please subscribe on Patreon. If we get enough subscribers, we'll be able to do more trips like the one I did last week with great wrestlers. I mean, one place I really want to go to, probably one of the next places on my list, is Memphis, because there's so many wrestlers that live there that I'd like to bang off. And then Terry Funk has already said he'll do a shoot interview with me, so definitely sometime in 2018 I want to get to Texas. But everyone, of course, subscribe to the Hannibal TV. Not only do we have the shoot interviews on there, but the Great North Wrestling matches. We're not exclusive to Great North Wrestling on the Hannibal TV. We've posted other companies, but it's the official YouTube channel of Great North Wrestling. So let's get into this event. There's been some unfortunate news this week, actually. Due to the circumstances in Puerto Rico, they actually changed over the past, I would say, 3 weeks. They changed Savio Vega's flight 4 times
Wow.
before finally fully canceling all flights from Puerto Rico to Ottawa that would make him arrive within the amount of time to do the show on November 5th. So unfortunately, it's an impossibility for Savio Vega to come and wrestle me. I really wanted to have that match. There was a lot of animosity there. I understand he actually needed the payday too because of all that devastation in Puerto Rico.
Sure,
but
sure.
there's just there's no way of him getting here, and we're very sorry to the fans. And his replacement is actually going to be Quebecer Pierre, 3-time WWE Tag Team Champion, and I do feel that Quebecer Pierre is a more than suitable replacement to challenge me in that Canadian title
Quite
match.
frankly, if you don't mind, I'll just say I think he's going to be even much bigger of a challenge for you because of his wide, array of skills. Of course, the man grapples. He does some striking as well, and he incorporates all of that along with his solid pro wrestling skills. And I think you're going to be challenged that night, and I can't wait to see that fight because having watched many of his fights at Great North Wrestling, each time the man delivers 200%, the fans go crazy, and his grappling skills, the things that he's introducing in that ring, we've never seen respectfully within the domain of professional wrestling. I'm talking about, of course, his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills as well as his karate skills and his striking skills. And even, you know what I mean, like seeing the bicep crusher, the compression lock. I've never seen that in North American professional wrestling, let alone even Japanese professional wrestling. This is an outlier, an innovator, and he's going to challenge you, and it's going to be an outstanding afternoon of champions. I'm extremely excited to see that because I'll be honest, it's been on the back of my mind. I'm like, when are these two going to fight? You know what I mean?
Well, it was bound to happen, and the fans are going to get it earlier, and I will agree with you on one thing. He's in better shape right now than Savio Vega is. He's training MMA regularly. Savio has not been wrestling regularly. Pierre has been, since he made his comeback in Great North Wrestling in August, he's been wrestling almost every weekend and training in MMA. But you mentioned all of these moves of his, but you're forgetting that I'm much faster than him. I'm in much better cardio condition.
I'm not forgetting that. I'm not forgetting. We've seen what you did with Gangrel and Napanee. You know, it was it was an outstanding match, but you completely went in there and obliterated him. And we know what you're capable of doing. We know about your background in Greco-Roman wrestling, freestyle wrestling, as well as your no-gi grappling experience. This is why I say it's a win-win for the fans. The fans are going to go nuts in Rockland when they see this because we know it can go from hard-hitting action to solid grappling fundamentals. So I'm going to be losing my mind along with the rest of the people in Rockland and all the fans who descend from coast to coast to coast in Rockland for Afternoon of Champions. It's going to be interesting to see this mishmash of styles. Of course, you are a grappler, but by nature, but you like to just clobber people and chop them down like you took that vampire Gangrel down.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I would say, a wrestler by nature, but I am an actual fighter. When I get in fights,
Sure.
I like to strike. I like to punch people in the face. And we've actually wrestled before, but the last match that Quebecer Pierre had before he went into retirement back in 2008 was actually losing to me in Ottawa. He bloodied me up in that match, but I won, and obviously I beat him bad enough in that match that he stepped away from the ring for 9 years. Previous to that, yeah, he got lucky. He beat me once in Hawkesbury. That's my only defeat I ever had in Hawkesbury, wrestling there for over 10 years now. And then we had a draw when we wrestled in St. Catharines, Ontario, for Great North Wrestling back in 2008 too. So this is going to be very interesting because we're tied right now. And one thing is for sure, I know I have better cardio than him. I know I'm faster than him. I'm not going to let him get me in any of these submission moves.
Yeah, but how are you going to handle his pressure game? Because if he goes into a lateral press crossbody, and you know what I mean, if he just he puts his knee on your face, isolates him. How are you going to deal with that, man? How are you going to deal with, you know what I mean? Because the man is very tactical.
One of my advantages in grappling has always been I'm very claustrophobic, and I don't let myself get put in those positions. So I'm not going to be put in those positions. I'm very prepared for this. My cardio is fantastic. And when people see me on November 5th, they're going to know I'm going to be in the best shape of my career. It just happens. I was preparing very hard for this. So, Quebecer Pierre, you're getting lucky. You're getting a Canadian title shot. You were actually my pick to win the World Television Championship in the 30-man Battle Royal later that night. But I'm going to tell you one thing. You're not going to win the Canadian title, and you're sure as hell not going to win the 30-man Battle Royal, because there's not going to be anything left of you after I beat you in our match. You're going to be done for the night. That is my promise. Who's going to win now? I don't know what your prediction was. Definitely my favorite would have been Pierre for the reasons that you stated. The grappling ability, the 300 pounds in size.
And the mobility too, you know. I was gonna go for PCO. Obviously, it had to be the man who had the range. You know, for some guy that size who can have that flexibility, that mobility, that timing, that knowledge and situational awareness. Like he's a champ through and through. You know, so I thought he was going to be the guy to walk out of there TV champ. He's taken on a very formidable opponent. You know, of course, Hannibal, the death dealer. How are you going to deal with his striking game? Because his striking game is extreme. When the man hits you, he hits you. You've seen it against Jeremy Prophet. You see how he hits Jeremy Prophet.
The only time I've ever been hit, and I've been in a hell of a lot of bar fights, I literally cannot count how many bar fights I've been in, because I've been a bouncer since 2001. And the only time I've ever been hit is when people have blindsided me. I've never been hit in a straight up bar fight, because I always do a takedown. So it's basically I'm not concerned about Quebecer Pierre hitting me, but you know that I'm telling you my prediction. It's not even a prediction. It's what's going to happen. I'm leaving the Rockland Arena with the Canadian Championship. I'm going to head into Impact Wrestling on November the 7th at the Aberdeen Pavilion in Ottawa, still Canadian champion. And in the
I'm gonna show up that night just to watch you clobber whoever Impact Wrestling puts you up against. I can't wait to see you reverse lift and drop someone, sacrifice powerbomb in the middle of that ring. The place is going to be popping. TD Place. I can't wait. It's going to be explosive.
tdplace.ca, GNW Impact, promo code for 50% off tickets. So let's talk about this 30-man battle royal. We got Quebecer Pierre. We got two-time Canadian champion Jeremy Prophet. Nathan Banner, who looked to be a good 350, 400 pounds when he defeated Flash Funk and Napanee. Freak Nation, Jebediah Tatum, the Heartthrobs, the Spoiler, Wes Briscoe, who is one-time Canadian champion, the son of Gerald Briscoe, the nephew of legendary world champion Jack Briscoe. My pick, I think, is going to be Prophet. He's won battle royals with us before. He's very fast. He's very conniving. So I think I'm going to go for him. I believe he is going to be the first world television champion. And speaking of world, a lot of people were asking, well, is this going to be just locals in the battle royal? No, there's Americans in this. We have Ad Hutchinson from the UK, who also appeared on Impact Wrestling recently. So there's people from all over the place entering this. And Great North Wrestling in 2018, we are going to make our way. We're going to do at least one event in the United States. So we're becoming not just a Canadian company. And of course, the Hannibal TV is popular all around the world, not just Canada. Therefore, that's why this new title is a World Television Championship. So my pick is Jeremy Prophet. Who are you going to take in this one?
You know what, man? I will have to agree with you on that. Jeremy Prophet is someone who's got that swagger, that is confidence, the skill and the ability. The man can deliver. We've seen him deliver many times. It's got to be Jeremy Prophet. I think he is ruthless, and he just doesn't give a hockey puck, if you know what I'm saying. The man's probably going to knock out everyone in the middle of the ring. But he can hit, he can grapple, he can go. It's got to be Jeremy Prophet.
And let's not forget the Axemen, who we saw make they interfered. It wasn't quite a debut, but these Americans, I don't know exactly where they're from. I think they're from Missouri, but they're huge lumberjacks. They're going to be in this battle royal too, so that should be interesting.
They're going to shake down all the trees, and when they made that entrance in Napanee, I'll tell you, the audience saw them and just felt the presence of these two giants who just walked in there and got rid of those damn freaks. I can't stand the freaks, and I can't wait to see the Axemen finally put away those freaks.
And I have to agree with you on that. I am not fans of those Freak Nation whatsoever. I really don't know what people see in those two. And I do believe that the Axemen will finally take them out of Great North Wrestling. But the match that I am looking forward to watching the most, obviously, in this event is, of course, the triangle match between Tessa Blanchard, third-generation star who's appeared numerous times recently on the WWE Network, versus the women's champion of Canada, Lady Yasmin, versus Ilani Iolana from the Fiji Islands. That's going to be a tough one, but I'm going to say Tessa has the experience factor. Tessa has the history in wrestling. She's grown up with wrestling, and I believe Tessa's actually more. Lady Yasmin is in phenomenal shape, but Tessa is really fit. I've seen the pictures of her. I don't think there's an ounce of fat on her. I know how hard she trains. And I think she's just going to be too much for the other two in this case.
As much as of course, she's outstanding athlete, outstanding performer, so on and so forth. But I must say, Lady Yasmin, as much as I can't stand her, I think she's the luckiest person on earth. She should be buying lotto tickets, scratch tickets, all of the above. She seems to keep winning. She's winning all the time. But you know what? Ilani Iolana is the most vicious, ruthless in-ring performer I've seen, regardless of gender. That woman is confident, and she's going to be ripping both of her opponents' face off that night. I think Ilani Iolana is going to walk out of there with the belt and two faces, if you know what I'm saying. She's going to run it, man. She's going to run it. That woman can go. She can hit. She can grapple, take down the opponent in the middle of the ring, stretch them, go inside control, isolate the arm, go for this friggin' Kimura, switch right into north-south position. She's an outstanding grappler, and she's vicious, and she's confident.
And
I'm not saying
beat Yasmin on the last event, but it was via
damn right.
out, so there was no title.
I disagree with that count out. I think the fans in Napanee were they, ultimately, of course, I think Ilani did Yasmin a favor. She upgraded her hair game by giving her, a nice braid outside and locking her hair. And, big shout outs to Dark Cash, because that man, he is a brilliant tactician and strategist. Ilani Iolana is going to walk out of that Jean Marc Lalonde Arena over in Rockland, new champ. And Tessa Blanchard, fans are going to descend to see her and her great in-ring ability. As you mentioned, she's an outstanding athlete, outstanding competitor. But you know what?
And she's also gorgeous.
Of course, she's got that appeal. Hey, all three of these women are beautiful, of course. But Ilani Iolana, I'm telling you, when you see her walk to that ring, as Master P used to say for you 90s hip-hop fans, she's bowdy. Like, she's about it. She's a confident alpha female. I'm telling you, she's going to rip some faces off tonight. on November 5th. I can't wait.
And of course, Great North Wrestling's women division is growing, and we're trying to have minimum 2 matches per card involving female athletes. And the other match on our big November 5th Afternoon of Champions card this Sunday is Michael Von Payton and Misty Haven, his wife, husband and wife couple from Rockland, actually, versus Vanessa Craven, who we've seen numerous times here in Great North Wrestling, and Evil Uno, who I guess is one of her contemporaries. I don't know much about him. That's going to be a tough one. Vanessa Craven is a monstrous woman. I think she could beat both Michael Von Payton and Misty Haven.
Probably,
It's going to depend if this other guy is in the ring or not, because I think the other guy is going to be the weak link in the match for Vanessa Craven. So it's hard to say. If Vanessa Craven is in there with either one of those, Misty Haven or MVP, I believe she could pin either one of those two. But it depends. They are a husband and wife team, so they're going to definitely be good at teamwork, I would imagine. So that's going to be an interesting match, but I'll take Craven on that one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with MVP and Misty Haven on. I think they have the advantage of this being in their own backyard, of course, in Rockland, and the fans are going to descend from Rockland, from Ottawa, from Kingston, from Cornwall, from Montreal, from all over Ontario, Quebec, and all over Canada, and I think they're going to have that hometown advantage. And as you know, that obviously assists people in their morale and their ability to give 110% as always. So I have to go with MVP and Misty Haven on this. I think a lot is on the line for them,
And there's going to be other matches on the card involving such stars as Stu Grayson making his GNW debut, Genesis, who's been with us on a few occasions, and of course the Battle Royal. There'll be many new faces involved in the Battle Royal. Lots of people want this world title. There's going to be stars from all over the world fighting for that title, including Maximum Testosterone, who definitely has to be one of the favorites in that Battle Royal as well. Strongest man in Canada.
No doubt. He's got all the power. He's got all the tools that would lead one to that of the championship. So he's definitely up there right after, Jeremy Prophet. I think it's either Jeremy Prophet and or Maximum Testosterone. He's continuously adding to his game, and the fans at Great North Wrestling are always in awe of his abilities in the ring and his strength. He's a man who's cut down from 360 to 300 pounds, and he's completely transformed his body and been able to articulate his various range of skills in the ring, as we've seen him fight against a very tough PCO as well as Jeremy Prophet, and he's always been able to leave the fans in awe of his capabilities.
And the last guy I'll mention that's going to be in the Battle Royal is Preston Perry, who actually defeated Bushwhacker Luke at the last Great North Wrestling event in Rockland a couple of years ago. So he's known very well in Rockland, but other than beating Bushwhacker Luke, the last time we saw Preston Perry in action was at Great North Wrestling Cage Wars in Smith Falls earlier this year, where all the matches were held in an MMA cage. And if you remember, he actually knocked out his opponent. They had to call an ambulance for the opponent to come. He burst his eardrum with an elbow to the side of the head, and the opponent couldn't continue. So we can't really count Preston Perry out, because that was an impressive showing. We never want to see a wrestler hurt like, I guess it was K9 was his opponent, and
Right.
K9 still hasn't been cleared to wrestle since that match, and that took place in May because he has serious eardrum issues. So Preston Perry is also going to be in there. So I'd suggest fans, Rockland's only about an hour and a half from Montreal. Literally, depending on where you live in Ottawa, it's anywhere from 15 minutes to, if you're right downtown Ottawa, half an hour. So it's not that far. If you're going for Bound for Glory later that night in Ottawa, our event will be over by 4 p.m. Plenty of time to make it to Bound for Glory for 7:30. Of course, Bound for Glory is sold out, but the TV tapings from the Monday to Friday, November 6th to 10th, are not sold out. tdplace.ca. Use code GNW Impact for the discount. And of course, our event, Afternoon of Champions, will also be on TV. It's going to be part of Channel Z's Enragé du Ring, French television show that's going to air all across Canada next year and is going to be a big boost to Great North Wrestling's popularity. And of course, the matches are also going to appear on the Hannibal TV YouTube channel, which now has over 30 million total views, and we're closing in on 45,000 subscribers, which is pretty good for the 4 years we've been in existence. So everyone get your tickets at ticketweb.ca, Snap Fitness or Jumbo Pizza in Rockland, or get them at the door. Doors will open at 11:30 a.m. The event starts at 1 p.m. Alcohol and food will be available at the venue. So everyone, come on out to the last Great North Wrestling event of 2017. More information is at greatnorthwrestling.ca. But before we go, there's one other big event happening this weekend. And of course, I used to train amateur wrestling and some grappling at TriStar in Montreal, and as well as at the Montreal Wrestling Club with Victor Zilberman when GSP was also regularly training there at the time. So although I did train with Rory McDonald and a few other UFC fighters, I never actually got to physically train with GSP, but I was training at the same time as he was training, and I'm a big fan of his. And of course, I'm a big supporter of TriStar athletes.
Right.
So I hope he does great in his comeback. I think the build-up to this match has been fantastic, much more entertaining than anything I've seen on wrestling TV lately.
MMA is always ripping off pro wrestling ultimately.
But they're doing it better than pro wrestling now.
They sure are, and that's the irony. For anyone who's a fan of mixed martial arts, please understand that the fundamentals in terms of storytelling and selling an event and so on and so forth has all been borrowed and appropriated from the sport of professional wrestling. I'll debate anyone on that topic, but please continue. Yes.
No, I just want to wish George St. Pierre best of luck in that match, and I'm a big supporter of his, and I'll definitely I'm hoping that he takes Bisping out, and I know he's been training. He wouldn't get into anything that he wasn't prepared for, and I'm sure he's never known for having the most exciting fights, but
Sure.
I'm sure he'll come in there with a good game plan, and I really hope he takes that one.
He needs to. He really needs this victory. You know, it's his comeback, and it adds to his legacy and his credibility. He's a combat sports athlete that carries himself with respect. Doesn't do a lot of trash talking, but does his what he does in the octagon, and he's been able to marvel fans all across the world. I hope he wins, and not to take away from Bisping, who's a high-level competitor, who's beaten legends, you know, but GSP must win this match. If he doesn't win this match, it's highly problematic in regards to his legacy and his footprint as far as mixed martial arts goes. You know, I really hope he does win. He must win. You know, he can't afford to lose. I think it would really stain his attempt to jump back into the highest level of mixed martial arts competition in the world. You know, if you lose, you lose. You know, and people start to question your legacy, just like they question Silva's legacy, Chuck Liddell's legacy. You know, so on and so forth. I hate it when people retire and come back. I'm not criticizing them personally, but sometimes when you leave on a high note. You come back and you lose, you may kind of stain your legacy.
Right, but it is hard to turn down money from time to time if you're being offered millions of dollars. And first of all, he's not over the hill. I don't know how old he is. He might be 36, 37.
Yeah, he's 36. You're right.
Yeah, 36, so he's he's not over the hill, and he has
He's
had a
not.
break. So his body, whatever injuries he's had, have probably healed up. The break's probably been good for him. So I wish him the best. I hope he doesn't turn into a Ronda Rousey thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Totally.
her legacy was destroyed, but now apparently she's training at the WWE Performance Center. Maybe they'll be able to erase her recent history like they did with Brock Lesnar, because he had two devastating first-round knockouts before he returned to WWE. And then, of course...
Hey, man, you know what? I think if you were to face Brock Lesnar in a match, you would smoke that. I've asked you many a times, and I'm going to ask you again. Are you ever going to cross over to mixed martial arts?
If I get a match against Kevin Owens, CM Punk, or Brock Lesnar, sure.
No,
Those are my three opponents I want to fight. But with me, it's all about money. It's really about money.
Right.
I need to be offered the right amount of money. And I mean, Lashley said it to you. You interviewed Lashley, and there's not a lot of money.
No, it is. You're certainly right. There isn't a lot of money in mixed martial arts. The payment structure, regardless of the promotion and so on, isn't what people might assume it is. But I think fight fans would like to see, Hannibal, the Death Dealer, cross over to mixed martial arts. I'll say, as far as Canadian professional mixed martial arts at the heavyweight division, I don't see anyone who could even come close to even challenge you, quite frankly. I think you could walk in there and just, wreck up the place quite easily. And I'm for real when I'm saying that. I don't think there aren't many heavyweights with your background as far as freestyle wrestling goes. But even moreover, I don't think there's people with your will and your ruthless insanity when it comes to just beating the enemy. I've seen you fight in Great North Wrestling, and you're an animal. You know what I mean? And I think that's a transferable skill for the sport of mixed martial arts as well. But I digress. Yeah. I hear you on the financial.
I mean, if it was... I actually did have a fight booked 10 years ago, but that was unfortunately all around the same time that I was dealing with the health issues. So unfortunately, right. I was never got the license to fight, unfortunately, but I was going to be on a rec MMA card that another UFC guy was on. What was his name? Nick Denis was also on.
Okay, wow.
He was going to be at the casino.
Right. He's one of the only local Ottawa professional fighters who have fought in the UFC, as well as Sengoku, which was part of Pride FC in Japan. He has a very interesting career, and even I think he's got one of the coolest ever elbow KO knockouts in
but even he said, I did interview him, and he said if it wasn't for him winning knockout of the night for that, his pay was so low with all of his training costs and travel costs and commission costs, he would have actually been in the red if he hadn't won that $50,000 bonus for knockout of the night. So that's why he never even fulfilled his contract, and that's in the UFC. So we'll see what the future holds for me. I would definitely I just literally turned 35, and I'm an expert in professional wrestling, so I don't know if I'm at the right time to go to MMA, but only time will tell. Who knows? Maybe things will go well with Impact. They have to deal with Bellator. That might be something for me in the future. Who knows? Not against it, but I need real money. I can't do it. The fight I was supposed to have back in 2009 was I was getting paid $600. Well, that $600 is not as much to me now as it was in 2009.
No doubt. No, you're smart with your approach and style in terms of assessing whether the risk is worth it. And a lot of people don't consider that. So I commend you on that. I'm as a fan of combat sports, you see a lot of professional wrestlers crossing over into MMA who don't have a background, a solid foundation in a classic combat sports. You have that solid background. I think you have a huge advantage, as most fight fans know. Anyone who's
I do love it. There was no better feeling, I have to say, when I was training at TriStar, even though I was there mainly training for wrestling. I was participating in some of the MMA training. But like when you left a TriStar practice and you trained for 3.5, 4 hours, there's no better feeling than leaving that building and like you have no energy left. Like you cannot have a workout like you could have at TriStar. Like there's no better
Dude,
feeling in the
let
world.
me tell you. Let me tell you. I know for a fact. I remember when you were crossing over into to no-gi grappling and considering MMA back in the day. I remember telling some people, look, I'm not going to mention names, and the look on their faces when I mentioned, for real, when I mentioned that, Hannibal is crossing over to mixed martial arts, they were shitting themselves because they know that, you know what I mean? Like if they come across you, they're going to get smoked. There aren't many people with your pedigree and background. That's why, as a fight fan, as someone who follows these sports, who quote unquote researches them and narrates on them, I'll say this: that they you cross over into MMA at whatever level, it's going to be entertaining. I think you could beat Brock Lesnar. I'm going to say straight up. As a matter of fact, I would love to see you take on Bobby Lashley on November 7th in. At Impact Wrestling, I think
That's the same thing that Kevin Sullivan told me.
Well, there you go, man. Book it, David. I'm going to tweet Bobby Lashley tonight. I'm going to say, hey, Bobby, take on. I don't know if he's going to be here on Tuesday. Take on Hannibal the Death Dealer, the most legit professional wrestler in Canada and beyond. I think it needs to happen. Straight up.
And the Canadian champion. I hold the most prestigious title in all of Canada, without question. It's known all around the world, the Canadian Championship, and it won't be long before the World Television Championship also becomes a prestigious title. So everyone listening to this, we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Be there, Jean Marc Lalonde Arena, this Sunday, November 5th at 1 p.m. Doors are at 11:30 a.m. Wes Briscoe is going to be there, Tessa Blanchard, Lady Yasmin, Hannibal the Death Dealer, Quebecer Pierre, 3-time WWE Tag Team Champion, and many more stars. It's going to be an amazing card. And then, of course, Tuesday, November 7th, I'm going to be wrestling at the Impact TV tapings at the Aberdeen Pavilion. tdplace.ca is where you can get tickets. Use the code GNW Impact. Of course, you can follow Great North Wrestling on Facebook, Great North Wrestling, Twitter at GNW Wrestling, Instagram GN Wrestling, and of course, The Hannibal TV on YouTube, patreon.com/The Hannibal TV if you want to become a Patreon subscriber and help us out. And now this podcast is not only on The Hannibal TV on YouTube, it's also on greatnorthwrestling.podomatic.com, Stitcher, and iTunes. So there's lots of ways to download the podcast. And where can we follow you?
I'm on Twitter. It's Garmamie, Garmamie. That's at commercial, which is the @ sign. That's my Twitter handle, at Garmamie, as well as on Facebook. I'm at Garmamie on Facebook, Garmamie CDO. And make sure you check out Capital Combat Parlay as well. We're on Facebook and Twitter as well. And I'm really looking forward to the action that is Great North Wrestling this coming Sunday at the Jean Marc Lalonde Arena. Don't you dare miss.
Well, fans, you better be there. I can guarantee you one thing. It's going to be quite a battle between Quebecer Pierre and I. There's no doubt he has skills. I do believe I have better skills, and I have youth on my side. I'm not taking him lightly. But it's unfortunate that Savio Vega can't make it. He will wrestle for us in the future once the Puerto Rican travel issues are fixed. And also, Haku's going to be with us in the future. I laid down the challenge.
I was going to ask you. That is amazing. I think that's the most epic match. Hannibal the Death Dealer versus Haku. I can't wait.
I got a lot of fights coming up in the next week, so I'm not going to get ahead of myself. But I did face off with Haku, and I laid the challenge out for 2018.
How was that?
There's no question that he's a thick man. There's no question he's a tough individual. But we'll see. We'll see. I know
Right
how he
on.
wins his fights. He rips eyes out. He
bites noses off.
He bites noses off. He grabs throat. He's basically an animal. He doesn't follow the Marquis of Queensberry rules, that's for sure. But that's why I actually don't think he would do well against me in an MMA fight. And I'll say that
he's kind of like Hannibal the Deathly.
Kind of, yeah, but I haven't actually ripped anyone's eye out. Actually, I'm not the. I guess I really do have a vicious side to me. Yes, I can say that, but I haven't actually maimed anyone to the point where I ripped their eye out or bit their nose off yet.
It could happen. It could happen.
I don't know if he could get away with that now, though. Because now there's cell phones and everyone has video cameras. Like, he'd be in jail if he was doing the stuff he was doing in the 80s in these years. But I'm not intimidated by Haku. I have nothing but respect for him. But that's a guy that I want to fight. I don't care win or lose. I've heard so much about his reputation. I want to see how I fare against him. So
I saw the picture, the stare down between you, Haku, and Hannibal the Death Dealer. And it's weird. He kind of looked, I think the old age is setting in on him. He kind of looked a tad bit shook. You know what I mean? He kind of looked shook. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he didn't accept the challenge. Let's put it that way. He didn't say no, but he didn't say yes. So we'll find out in 2018. But I'm going to cut it off for now because the fans, if you want to know more about Great North Wrestling, just go to greatnorthwrestling.ca. It's all there. And I'm going to see you in Rockland this Sunday, 1 p.m. Afternoon of Champions.
That's all for this episode of the Great North Wrestling Podcast. Be sure to visit thehannibaltv.com for Great North Wrestling news, links, and live event information. Subscribe to the Hannibal TV on YouTube and subscribe to the GNW Podcast at greatnorthwrestling.automatic.com for instant downloads of our latest audio content.